How's it going? Thought I'd do a clip on mulching, in particular using tree trimmings and the like as mulch. I've been watching a few videos on YouTube where people say they're doing their Back to Eden gardens, so I jumped over to the Back to Eden website and had a look there, and it's a pretty interesting documentary. Basically lists all the benefits of using tree mulch. Composted, semi-composted tree mulch is a way to get a bit of biodynamic activity, I don't know what else you call it, back into the ground, funguses, bacteria, worms. They're using it as a top mulch, not digging through the ground because that takes extra nitrogen, robs nitrogen from your soil to decompose it. So they're just talking about using it as a thick timber mulch, or yeah, on top. The other way, sore arm, sorry. And then I made an entry on a local little growing website called Brisbane Local Growers, I think. I'll put a link in the description. And Evan on there pointed me to Jean Payne, a French gentleman who actually goes one step further. And as he's composting the tree mulch, he's actually drawing off methane gas, using that to run vehicles. They're using the composting, the heat from the composting to actually get water up to temperature, so you can use, I think it's about over 60 degrees centigrade they got it up to, so using that within houses and huts for either heat or for hot water itself. So anyway, I'll stop dribbling on and I'll show you what sort of mulching I've been doing lately. To begin with, we bought this little mulcher a while back, 20 bucks at the local markets. Nothing spectacular. It gets branches down to a decent size. That's a bit of old rotten mango there. We smash up the mango branches and put them through here. That's what it does to a twig. It sort of crushes and splits it. I've also been rolling up newspaper into small rolls. I can't handle a whole newspaper. The worms get some, and some of it's been going into here. So that's what we've been doing. Normally what we've been using for mulch is this stuff here, which is sugarcane trash. Certified by, it's an allowed input, so from the BFA. So we've just been using that as a mulch. I think a big mistake I did last year was I dug a whole heap of this through the beds along with mushroom compost. I think what's happened is breaking down this and the mushroom compost has actually robbed nitrogen from the soil. So after doing a bit of reading lately, I think that's why we may have contributed to having a bit of a poor growing season over summer. The other thing we went and bought was a tumble composter. We just got this off second hand on Gumtree. Some of the vents were broken out down the bottom, so I just put some fly screen in there, and it just tumbles up your mulch nicely. In this one here, I have timber mulch, leaves, lawn clippings, and a few bits of worm castings, just to get some bacteria in there to help kickstart the breaking down of all the organic matter. So that one seems to be going alright. He's been going for about 2 weeks now. One I started yesterday. This is just 4 bits of mesh, just zip tied together. The neighbours have been trimming back the trees on the fence line. So I had some leftover mango and elm mulch I threw down the bottom. So I just mulched up all the thin trimmings from the neighbours yesterday and threw that in. And in the centre of this I actually put some more worm castings. So they'll have bacteria and different bits and pieces in there that'll help the breaking down process. So that's one of the larger compost piles we've got going at the moment. I think you need something at least 1 metre by 1 metre cube. So, or yard by yard, to get a decent amount of heat going. So I've never mulched or composted with timber before, so we'll just see how it goes. As you can see there are some rather large bits of stem in there still. Down here we have 4 different ways of composting. This one here, this is just our worm barrel. It's been here for years. We just slowly add stuff to it. And down the bottom here, that's just pure castings. I don't know if you can see the worms escape as I dig through. We've got some worms down in there. This has just been, all this was a bag of horse manure that was filled with worms when we bought it, and we threw it in there and just been throwing veggie scraps on top ever since. So it's slowly been building up. So this is just one method of composting we've been using. Very rich. There's sticks and twigs all down in there. That's the result you get. Sorry, Mr. Worm. But very, very nice composted material via a worm's gullet. So that's one way we've been going, but that's more a compost to dig through. These 3 barrels here are mulches, top mulches. What we have in here is there's some comfrey leaves, some tree mulch, lawn clippings, and we also got given a massive bag of salad spinach leaves that had gone off at a local co-op. There's probably about close to 8-9 kilos worth of stuff in a massive bag. So I split it up between here and this barrel here, and the chook's got about 1/3 of it as well. So in this barrel here, it's mainly just leaf litter with the rest thrown in, the spinach and some lawn clippings. And as you can see, I've also added worms into this one. So they're slowly working their way up through the layers. And in the base of this one, I actually stuck a bag full of horse manure, so the worms have got somewhere to live. So there's a fair few different inputs in there. I'm finding that this one here, the worms are actually slowly moving up through the different layers like you just saw. So this one's going alright, there's a little worm there. So it's going pretty good. And this one here is exactly the same, except it has no worms. And I don't know if you can make it out, it's a bit hard to tell for you. This one actually hasn't sunk as much as the one with the worms. I actually think the worms are going through it a little bit more, so a little bit quicker. These have only been here for about a month now, 3 weeks to a month, so yeah. But anyway, this one here is just like a bit of a control. This is just basically a barrel with tree mulch and comfrey leaves. So laid through, as you can see, there's a nice white mould growing through it. Some fungus, there's a nice little mushroom growing there. So it'll just be interesting to see how this one decomposes all by itself. And this is the mango mulch. This is from the rotten mango next door. Some of it's pretty spongy, some of it's not so spongy. But yeah, I figure it's half broken down already. And as long as we keep the mulch nice and damp and moist, what it's going to do is it's going to let the microbes and worms and fungus and bacteria eat it from the bottom and draw the nutrients down into the soil. So this bed here is just our spice bed, one of our spice beds. It's got the galangal up the end, that's the turmeric, and this is our ginger that just didn't want to grow this year, but yeah. So we're just going to throw it on here. I actually did give it a bit of a top dress with a nitrogen-rich fertiliser, just in case it did deplete any of the nitrogen. So yeah, there you have it. They're the different mulches we're using this year. Just down at the back of the property, last year when we got the mulcher, just before Christmas, I ran through a whole heap of Chinese elms and just threw them on the ground down here, the mulch as thick as I could to try and subdue the weeds. So if you have a look, it was pretty high. It was probably about 1/2 foot high to begin with, and it sunk down to a matter of probably about 2-3 inches deep now. But you can see through the different layers how it's slowly breaking down, getting darker and darker as it heads towards the soil level. So I can see where this stuff would be good. Another thing I will be doing, especially with this mango mulch, I've got some more of it on the back bed down here. Another thing I'll be doing with that is top dressing with fertilisers like compost, worm cast, anything like that. I'm just going to top dress it over the top and then water it in, so that way it goes down through the layer of the mulch and into the soil. So worm teas, anything like that. Just distracted by a phone call, sorry. Yeah, I really recommend going back to the Back to Eden website and just having a look at the documentary. There's a couple of different messages in the clip, in the documentary. I like the gardening one. Yeah, it's just basic knowledge really when you think about it. You cover the soil with organic matter that falls normally in any forest, and it's going to break down and add nutrients back into the soil. The reason I like using the mulch that we've grown here is it's got the nutrients that the trees have stripped out of the soil here, so at least we're adding them back through into our garden bed, so trying to keep it as local as possible really. So that's pretty much all it. I've rabbited on enough, probably haven't made much sense, but anyway, I need a coffee, and yeah, have a good one.